Alrighty, so I just received my payout, which was 7K on Alpha Capital. It took a bit of time because I had to redo my KYC basically because it expired from last year. But that's fine. So it took about like a week or so before hitting my bank account. That's fine. So I just received it. Yeah, not too bad for 1 week of work. And what I will do probably now is just show the trades that I took on that account, although I already did them in the weekly recap, but I will just show them, not go through them in my in trading view, but just in basically in my trading journal. So this is my trading journal. It's been going all right, but I noticed that I'm not losing that much recently just because I'm very strict with my POIs, looking into getting trades only if we have inducement or if we sweep the highs or the lows, the strong lows or highs if we don't have any inducement. So these are the trades that I took on that account, basically. That was my last trades that passed me the account, phase two, and yeah, these 5 trades are the trades that I needed to take, so I can basically request a payout. So yeah, first trade took it on GU. I just look at it because I totally forgot. Yeah, I remember this one. So this was a very beautiful trade. Let me explain why. Um, this is H4. Basically, we were bearish. Internal was bearish as well, but I was expecting price to potentially, after he gave us that truck right there, and it mitigated that demand, I was expecting price to potentially um, start the internal pullback and mitigate EQ as a minimum. So we mitigated a H4 and mitigated demand. So we have chalk from that demand. What do you expect after chalk? It means that the pullback of the internal has started. We mitigated demand and now we're pushing higher. So I was expecting price to continue the same trajectory and push higher. M15 was bearish, internal was bullish, so we were in phase A, right? We mitigated that demand right there and we continued creating some fractal structure. Um, what happened here is that we had a chalk and then we had the reclaim to the upside. So this was just a fake break. Once price retested that level or came to that demand, right, it gave us an LC to A right there. And then I took the price after it, LC to A. And yeah, no, I think this trade was very good. This trade was, I think, a setup. It was very high probability. The issue that I have now with this trade is that we have an unmitigated demand right there, and it has inducement. This demand doesn't have inducement. So what happened is that I think price, if I remember correctly, price just went to the downside, mitigated that demand, and continued bullish. And yeah, it was a valid trade. It was a good trade, but I think I should have took the trade from that demand as well. I think the issue here was that I only can trade one trade per day, so that's why. But yeah, it was a good trade. Try to target the M15 internal high or in EQ the first supply. That was very good. Second trade was on GU. It was on London low. Let's see. All right, let's see the H4. Is this H4? Yeah, this is H4. That's trade. All right. Very easy. We just had that break of structure, right, to the upside. So H4 is bullish. Internal is bullish as well, so we basically just had the IBOS. As you can see, price just continued bullish from that demand that um, that we got stopped out from. That's fine. Price continued bullish, creating an internal low and potentially an internal high. So for now, I'm only trading the internal until we break that swing high, right? Um, M15, as I can see from here, was bullish as well, but we needed to pull back, of course, after we got the IBOS, so we can, start the pullback, potentially come back to that demand, and then continue bullish. So we created an internal high, internal low. That was our range. We had an unmitigated supply above, so because this supply didn't have any inducement, so we were expecting price to potentially sweep that supply or sweep that internal strong high. That's exactly what happened. We swept that internal strong high, giving us an LC3. I just waited for the close of the level and I got in. I think here it gave us an LC1 too, which I didn't take right away. I waited for the M15 to close and then I took it. I took it from that low. Stop loss above the level and TPS at a 1 to 3. This was LC3, but it was was it example 2, I think, where basically, let me just check it. Is it example 2 or example 1? Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So it was example 2 where we basically have an unmitigated demand or supply in this case, and price just swept the low, the strong low, and closed above, right? But mitigated that demand or that supply in this case. So in this case, it would be this unmitigated supply that we mitigated, right? Has inducement too, and then we closed below. So I just took the trade right there, targeted 1 to 3, and price beautifully went to TP. We had an LC1 as confluence as well, so that was good. All right, third trade was on GU2. Let's see what happened here. So same thing with H4. As you can see, price just pulled back to that demand, right? To that sell to buy, and then continued higher. So very good targets. I just targeted my 1 to 3 as long as it didn't break, it didn't mitigate that demand, and then it continued higher. So very beautifully. Now internal is bullish, so potentially I'm looking for price to continue to that swing high. Let's see M15. All right. Once we were bullish again, we were here. I was expecting price to continue until basically we mitigate demand. But the issue that I had with this demand is that it didn't have any inducement, right? So I was expecting price to potentially sweep some sort of liquidity on the medium time frame, or else I was expecting to continue the price bearish until we get the IBOS. So looking at the M15, M15 was bullish, internal was bearish after we got the IBOS. So then what happened is price basically just continued bearish, and after we had the IBOS right there, that was my internal high, that was my internal low. At this point in time, my only demand is this one, right? So we could see price continuing bearish until we mitigated that demand, right? And that's exactly what happened. We had an LC1, all right. We didn't have inducement above this level, but we had an LC1 because we didn't mitigate any higher or any unmitigated any unmitigated supply. We basically waited for a choke, which happened here. So that was the candle. It opened the high, right? And then it broke the low. So that was the choke. And then price came back again, mitigated that supply, right? And then I just took the trade once it engulfed basically this candle. So it was a choke followed by a pullback, mitigation of fractal supply. That was my trigger to take the trade, and I just took it. It looks something like that on the M15. So that was our choke line. Price mitigated that level, that fractal supply, and then it gave us that engulfing, which I took right there. And yeah, I just needed some bearish confirmation, which happened here, and I took the trade. Target in 1 to 3. What I liked is that it was before this demand, so it was good. And yeah, it was very simple. Let's see the fourth trade, fourth one. Let's see. So it was on EU this time, so my only trade on EU. Let's see at the H4. All right, so we broke above this whole consolidation range, and price was bullish on the internal, potentially targeting the EQ as a minimum, right? Internal was bullish. We mitigated demand. We started moving higher. So obviously my target would be to target the internal high, the weak high. Looking at the M15, what we had is, well, is this M15? No, this is M15. That was the M5. We basically had an IBOS, created a new structure right there, right? That was my internal low, that was my internal high. The issue here is that this internal low didn't have any demand, so I mean any inducement. So the only solution that we had was to create an LC3, which we did here. Price gave us an LC3, closed above. Now this was my my entry target. I mean, my entry trigger took the trade, take the trade after this candle failed to close below, and we mitigated the sell to buy wick. But I wasn't very confident about this one. Once price pushed higher, started mitigating again that fractal demand, I was like, you know what? We're creating some low resistances right there. At any moment, we could see price just push through it. If we break below, then we have an IBOS. So I'm very happy with just taking that trade, covering the internal low, LC3, beautiful trade. And that's exactly what happened. And price pushed higher, targeting that week high. We had a bit of consolidation, rangy there, but then price eventually broke the high. So that was my entry, somewhere around there. Basically, when I just took this fractal structure as it is, price just continued higher, give us a boss, I mean a structured downside, and then a bullish choke here, giving us that, you know, that demand. Price mitigated that fractal demand and pushed higher. So very beautiful trade as well. On EU, that was my first trade on EU. And yeah, now my only trade that I took on, I mean, the only last trade that I took, it was very beautiful trade that I thought would go to TP. Let me break down that to you. We were on GU, yep. So remember that scenario where we were bullish, price just mitigated that demand, mitigated M15 extreme and then pushed higher. So there, what I was looking at basically is just price to continue bullish. That's it. Continue bullish, target that M15, I mean that H4 internal weak high. And that's it. After we had the internal break of structure to the upside. Looking at the M15, M15 was bullish. We had that as our demand. Had the inducement, price mitigated it, gave us a choke, right? And then price mitigated that fractal demand again and gave us another choke. But we didn't have any inducement in the fractal demand, so price swept that that demand, right? And I was expecting price to continue bullish. I was really confident that price will continue bullish from this demand. Unfortunately, it didn't. It just pushed to the downside. But yeah, I mean, that's totally fine. I don't remember what price did after we got stopped out here, but I think the only thing that I would say in this case is that this is too much range to me for me. I would not love this big of range, right? So yeah, let me just check what happened here. So this was GU on the 6th. Let's see, GU on the 6th. Where was this? I already can see it. I think it was this one. Yeah, it was here. So basically what happened next? Yeah, just price mitigated whatever here, right? Grab some more liquidity, create some more liquidity to the upside, give us an IBOS, and then I think, yeah, this was NFP, just continued one push to the upside. Didn't give us any entry here. I remember this one. And yeah, I mean, it was not a bad trade. It was a good trade overall. Unfortunately, you got stopped out. That's totally fine. And yeah, I would love that if we were exactly in this right in this moment where we have inducement, we mitigated the extreme demand, give us an LC2A, and then take the price higher. But fortunately, we had that big consolidation before NFP, one day before NFP. Price continued bearish, and then yeah, you saw the NFP just swept all the liquidity highs, and yeah, that's totally fine. 3 win, I mean 3 win, 2 losses. Very good trades. My total was around 8R on those trades, or I just call it so 3-9, so 7R minus the 0.3 commission. And yeah, so we got that beautiful payout, 7K in payout. Now I have my accounts, 300K in total, still 1% maximum risk rule, but that's totally fine. Let's see if we can get any trade this week or next week and request another payout. So that was a breakdown of the payout. And yeah, cheers guys.